All right, today's video on courage, or this one of the subtle variations of courage, is competent. This one was pretty easy for me. Competency. I've done a lot of things on my own in life. Taught myself, autodidact. One thing about growing up in the '80s when parents aren't around is you had to learn to figure stuff out as a kid. So that is actually related to what came up for me. So, competent, first thing that came up into my memory, into my consciousness, my mind, is just the ability to solve problems, but specifically to fix things, get them back up and running. I actually feel like I'm extremely competent at it. Like, there's definitely some pride there. uh, where what served me when I was a computer engineer wasn't necessarily being able to architect something. Actually, that was always had a lot of resistance to it, a lot of negativity and frustration because the lack of structure that I had. It, wasn't a big fan of structure most of my life, especially when I was younger. So building something, structure, right? Not something I was competent at. However, if I was given a complex system, say, you know, a server, computer server that did very complex things, ran automation, um, administered all the other servers, things like that, and it was broken, even though I had never used this server or this software or anything like that, if it was broken, I could actually resurrect it. I could figure out why it was broken through deductive reasoning and comparison, looking at log files, things like that. I'm getting a little nerdy on this one. Uh, and just figure out where the breakdown was, bring it back up. And a lot of times I resurrect it, fix it in a way that it was more efficient. So while I was figuring out, the logic puzzle of how did it break, I would engineer things to automate why it broke so that it was actually functioning at a higher level, more stable once it was back up online. And I feel very competent at this. It's I've done this so many times in my life, especially with computers. That's for whatever reason I was just always good with computers. No one taught me. I didn't go to school. As soon as I got one, I was on the internet back in like '94. I was a hacker. You know, really enjoyed computers. That made sense to me. And I felt really competent with computers. At a time, a lot of people didn't even know how to use a computer. And it's interesting that that's a courage feeling now that I'm thinking about it, because I wouldn't think that's what it was in the moment, because I didn't really have a name for it. But that feeling is definitely a subtle emotion of courage, that confident feeling. And it didn't matter how many times uh, I was faced with a challenge. Never had worked with a system before, a computer. I would just be like, yeah, I can figure it out. Let me look at it. And it's been hours, days, weeks, just going over everything. I don't think anything ever took me weeks, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I was very, very uh, good at that. I was competent. And it was a courage feeling because there's times when there's anger, frustration, stuff's not working the way I want it to work, or a lot of times, actually, and I can see how this also shows up in the physical world while going through for my goals or going outside my comfort zone is there's a certain level of frustration that'll happen when it's something I'm not figuring it out. Like I've been working hard on it, so close, and then just no. Like I feel like made zero progress, and I'd have these big, uh, I guess, a tantrum, frustration or anger, and it was that confident feeling, that courageous feeling, that'd be like, okay, I felt that, get back in there, I can figure this out. Like I'm competent at it. I know it. It's not anything I can't do. And that actually, for a long period of my life, in my 20s, that got me paid a lot of money, got me a lot of cool jobs, and I never really valued it. Like it just seemed normal to me. So now that I'm looking back at it, I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool that I had that already in me. I mean, we all have it already in us. Just calling it out. But yeah, reflecting back, I wouldn't think there would be a courageous feeling when it comes to computers. But I see over and over and over again, I would go headstrong into the challenge where everyone else would give up. Like it's too complex to figure it out. I don't know. Be like, I can do it. Let me see it. Let me figure it out. And I'm really grateful for that feeling, that confident feeling. That part of me. I think that's definitely part of my being. So that's today's synonym on courage, subtle emotion, competent. I'll see you guys tomorrow.